any changes could be very expensive. So the problem with our industry is a lot of thinking takes place almost halfway through the cycle. So we are seeing a bit of a push within our industry to move this peak slightly earlier. So if we could do a little bit more thinking, a little bit more analysis. So we are seeing a push towards more integrated procurement strategies and earlier involvement of contractors. So this is again one key to drive improvements. So those who are realizing the project, their input should be seen a little bit earlier. Fourth point I'm going to make is that the importance of forward planning, forward thinking, and meticulous planning before we go on site. Now, within construction, we are often criticized that we go to our production line without having a clear idea, and a lot of issues and conflicts are resolved at that stage. So here, in this small project, we looked at one of the highways engineering schemes, and we looked into the reasons for request for information and change orders. So what is triggering those requests, and things which we found from the analysis of RFIs were things like what are the specifications required for the work to be completed, or there is insufficient information in design, there is a discrepancy between multiple drawings of the same area. Now, these are the sort of things which could be resolved through a little bit more deep thinking earlier on. In general, it is said that within industry, cost of responding to an RFI is almost close to more than £1,000. So if the thinking was clearly, the people on the site would not be raising issues like this. Now, there's a presentation by Sir Harold Emerson back in 1962, where he has talked about that in no other important industry in the world is the responsibility for design so far removed from the responsibility for production. I think there's nothing new in this presentation, but the amazing thing is that it was mentioned in 1962. So we have got this awareness of this problem since ages ago, but it is quite sad that we have not done a lot to look into this. Another point I'm going to make here is that there's a need to develop good awareness that every single day counts. So this push towards doing things quickly, reducing the on-site time has got huge benefits. The internal benefits, which include reduce exposure to risk, cost savings, and also external benefits, which could include things like reduced congestion. Now, in one of our previous projects, we looked into one of the highway engineering projects and tried to look into which aspects of the cost are time related. And here you can see, based on our analysis, almost 85% of the costs are time related. So squeezing the time could have a very positive impact on the overall project. So developing this clear awareness that the need and push that every day counts, and if we could reduce a day and maybe a traffic management, that would have a positive impact on many ways. The fifth point I'm going to make here is it's very important to look at things from an owner's business model perspective. Very often we look at it from a procurement or execution angle only, but if we take a long-term overview, that is how the owner's cost spend profile may look like. So typically owners spend quite small amounts, which could represent almost 4 or 5% of what they are going to spend over the life cycle. But bulk of spending is later downstream in the operations and maintenance stage of the facility. And once the facility is new, there is a tendency to spend a little bit less on maintenance and operations, and once the facility becomes old, it could become quite elevated and very difficult to maintain. So we are seeing a bit of a push within the industry to change this model of previous working, where we used to do very little analysis upfront, to do a lot much more analysis upfront, do a lot much more computations and thinking upfront, with a view that it would help bring some savings during the execution stage, but it has a pretty low potential life cycle. And I think the similar point is being made by the government when they set out their strategy. So the May 2011, this document sort of triggered a revolution within the construction industry, and people generally say that they have never seen change within the construction industry similar to what we have seen in the past 5 or 6 years. So in this strategy, there was a clear commitment that public sector will become a better client, they will be more informed and better coordinated when its requirements are specified, designed and procured. There was a clear commitment of cost reduction by 20%, so deliver the same project but at a 20% better value, replacing the adversarial cultures with the collaborative ones, and government will require fully collaborative trading bidding as a sort of a tool to trigger the process innovation. So one of the key messages being conveyed in this report was 20% better value, which a lot of public sector clients are now seeking. And this is the digital flow of work. It sounds a little bit complex, but a key message which was conveyed in this digital flow of work was that you have to start with the end in mind. So this is what we need. So before the design starts, there should be a very in-depth stakeholder consultation to identify what is the agreed downstream data sets, what information will I need for facilities management, what data can I provide that will inform the design, and things of those sort. This then forms the basis of the design and construction teams. It serves as a charter for them. They provide information at the right stages, and at the project completion, there is an expectation that all this information which is generated will feed into the asset management applications, and it will be used for management. So a life cycle view of things. Moving to the next point, I can see there are a lot of lean practitioners here. So in a lean theory, there is a suggestion that all business activities should be split into clearly defined 3 different areas. First is the value addition. This is for which the customer gets gives you and pays you. So that should be the focus. And non-value adding activities are defined as waste or Buddha in Japanese lean terminology. So this is something which has to be attacked. There's an understanding that there are few business non-value adding activities, maybe regulatory compliance and things of those sort, which are important. But the key message here is that key focus should be on value addition activities. Now, within construction, we often get criticized. So this was doing a blog on WhatsApp. The item was, I think, 7 or 8 people to change a light bulb. In general, when we compare construction with manufacturing, it is said that manufacturing almost spends 62% of their time in value addition. In comparison, in construction, there's an enormous 57% of the time which is non-value adding activities, and only the 10% of a typical shift pattern is value addition. So there's a bit of a push to increase this green portion within the construction project. So there's a very well-publicized parking tunnel project, which talked about the road pavement. And here you can see the key value-adding process was paving, and as-is analysis showed that this value addition process just ran for only a tiny percentage. So almost it ran for 36% of the time. So looking for opportunities to reduce this value addition and reducing the non-value adding time would be good. And we have got a lot of tools available which allows for experimentation to do a lot more analysis. So this is Kasim did some of this analysis, looking at the different sequencing, so exploring different project scenarios, and playing about on a computer-safe environment to explore what about if we have 2 papers instead of 1, what impact it will have on the productivity, what about if we move from a single lane closure to a double lane closure. So those sort of experimentation could be done, which is an essential part of the CARTA process improvement methodology. And once the evidence has been scientifically established based on the data and based on the simulated experiments, they could be implemented on site. Right, so coming close to the end of my presentation, the 8th point I'm going to make here is that there is, within our industry, there is now a push to move from the functional to process orientation. Now within construction, we are often said that we do a business very much like playing a relay race. So a pattern gets passed from one function to another function. So the client passes on the project brief to the architect, and then we provide the initial set of drawings to structural engineers. And the communication is very much over the wall, which creates a problem of the client saying something and the project delivering something which is off tangent to what the client was saying. So if we look at the other industries, and there's a lot of data which suggests that other industries, particularly the manufacturing and non-construction industries, have shown an increase in their productivity almost 3% on a year-by-year basis. And in construction, some of the data suggests that the productivity has more or less remained static over a large period of time. And in view of a lot of industry experts, the key reason is that in construction we are still stuck with our functional or over-the-wall approaches to project delivery, whereas other industries have moved to more integrated and multidisciplinary views, where the process-centric view, where customer satisfaction and customer needs are the two ends goal of the process. So the process starts with identification of customers and stakeholders' needs, and the process ends with the focus on customer satisfaction. And then there are main processes and different supporting processes. So the key difference here is that the functional teams are working in their own silos, where in this they are multidisciplinary teams. So if you look at out of their silos, they work in a much more integrated manner. And this change in this pattern is being attributed to a lot of productivity growth in other industries. And we are seeing a bit of a push within construction as well to move from the silo-based to growth. And this functional way of doing our business is also reflected in the way our IT systems have developed. So there are different sets of IT systems catered to serve the needs of people in individual silos. So there are IT systems for architectural design, engineering design, construction, and very often these systems do not communicate very well. So we install some patchy bridges and some patchy wires, but that's not the best way to deliver. So now this guy, Bill Gates, it said if he drops 10,000 pounds, he should not get up and get it down to get it up, because his per second income is more than that. He wrote a good book in the early 2000s. And the title of his book was Business at the Speed of Thought. And he introduced the concept of a digital nervous system. So he drew an analogy from a human nervous system. And he said that a modern day organization should work in a perfectly harmonized and integrated way, similar to the way human body works. So different organs transfer the information to each other. There is a very good awareness of the context, and there is a very good capability to respond to the external stimuli. So a bit of a push for our industry to adopt this digital nervous system to improve our capability. So I was talking about the difference between the construction and manufacturing. In construction, we are still stuck with this functional project delivery, which is often characterized by its slow nature. Things move from one discipline to another, one function to another, which may result in long iterations. And if there is an query, it has to go through the loops. And very often, like I said, it's not very adapted to the market and production. In comparison, the simultaneous product or concurrent engineering, which is often thought is focused on simultaneous processes, it is attributed to faster half the time, shorter iterations, it's much cheaper, half the cost. So we are seeing some of these concepts being picked within our industry. The example is this push towards BIM, where there is a focus on doing things simultaneously, bring all the contractors in one group, focus on the process, and convert the hierarchy of organizations into teams, focused on the processes which add more value to the stakeholders. Now coming back to the Bill Gates idea of a digital nervous system, he also delves into the immune system. Now our immune system is a very good knowledge management machine as well. So we have what we call a primary immune response. If we are attacked by a foreign invader or pathogen, the primary immune response is activated. But if it fails, we have got knowledge data bank within our body, which which is sort of an immunological memory created from primary response, and if the primary response fails, then we have got an adaptive response. So a key point here is that the modern day organizations should be very good in knowledge management. They should have the ability to learn from their best practices and implement. Right, so coming close to my set of points, this is the 9th point, and it is based on a famous quotation by Alvin Toffler, where he said that the illiterate people in the 21st century are not those who cannot read or write, but it is those who have not got the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So a key point here was this unlearning. So we are doing things in established ways. And we have got this sort of an attitude within our industry that I'm a plumber and I am doing this thing for the past 25 years and I know better than anyone else. But the point here is, well, that's good that you are a plumber with a lot of experience, but do you know how your work impacts people downstream or upstream and how it contributes overall to deliver value? So this ability to unlearn or question or establish